Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Omniverse of Nick, and Part 10 to the Mcqueen Walking Dead tale. I'm your host, Nick, and, as always, before we get into today's episode, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and comment your favorite parts of a series, or just your favorite series on the channel in general, as well as future recommendations for series and what-ifs and general discussion to be had on the channel. With all that out of the way, let's get into part 10 of this tale, getting into what's going to be happening at the prison. Last we left off, the prisoners who had been at the prison just a little bit later than in canon come across Tyreese and his group who have stumbled upon the prison, but even Tyreese knows that this prison is bad. Not even just the area they barely managed to get by, but the whole prison looks bad, and yet they're staring at 5 people who have just been hiding and somehow still alive. Tomas, he is not really getting on to who these people are or what they're thinking about, but all he cares about is these people are in his prison, because it's Tomas, and he asks, who are they and where did they come from and why are they here? Tyreese, sensing a lot of hostility, says they're not here to intrude and they didn't think that anyone was still alive. And he tries to explain, obviously being the friendly Tyreese that he is, but Sasha says that they can just leave. They don't have to worry about the prison. It's clearly there are people here who are at the prison. This must be their home or something. They might be, she doesn't know. Nobody knows. But Tyreese says, no, that's not it. And he notices that these 5 here, they'd been there before it started, which is starting to click in his head that he doesn't think that they know about what's going on out there. And he says, but he doesn't say that right away. All he says is, why can't they just all live together? But Tomas, he says, why should they or want to really accept their help to get out of this prison? If they really wanted to, they could have gotten out a long time ago. But they were told to stay here, and they have ever since. And there it is. Sasha now knows, and Tyreese, Sasha, Alan, and Ben know, these guys have been in this little broom closet, this cafeteria, for the better part of before the apocalypse, or during it, whatever. And Tyreese then has to tell Tomas basically about the world. And yeah, pretty much all of what Rick and Daryl and T-Dog said, except worded into the way of Tyreese, Sasha, and all of them. But even after trying to talk to Tomas, trying to make a deal, trying to stay here, trying to talk to him, he sees that Tomas, he's just a bad dude. He doesn't want any part of them. And he's honestly just a power-hungry jerk of a prisoner. He was meant to be here, supposedly. And even if Tyreese doesn't want to go with it, he decides to make him understand, to make him listen, to make sure that they all can get this prison and actually get something out of it, because he wants him, Sasha, and everyone to be here. He's going to knock some sense into Tomas, but not kill him. And Tomas, being surprised by this, he gets into his fight mode, which was not hard for Tomas, because even though Tyreese is not going to kill him, he is going to beat some sense into him to make him realize the world that they're now in, and just to share the prison, because why wouldn't they want to? It's overrun. But Tomas is not budging. Seeing Tyreese is ready to fight him, Tomas is ready to put up a fight and tells Tyreese they're not going to win this. There's 4 of them, 5 of them. They're outnumbered by 1. And Alan says, no, they're not. And he goes over and shakes Tomas's hand and says, you got 2 more. Now Tyreese, he's utterly shocked by this. Alan and just signed himself and Ben up With these guys? Why? For the prison? Why can't they just all have it together? But Alan just scoffs at this and brings up Donna to Tyreese, who, by the way, would be same where she died the same way. So Alan was always against Tyreese for that in canon. So he would be just as much against it here. And with the prisoners, this is Alan's chance, like he did with the governor, to join the side to actually fight against Tyreese and get some kind of lasting vengeance. So Alan and Ben, they're with the prisoners now. So now it's just Tyreese and Sasha. Tomas, sensing the true upper hand of the situation, aims his gun square at Tyreese and Sasha and says, "You're not getting this prison. We were here first. So, dead outside or not, you better get walking before you end up with your head full of lead," or something like that. We can only infer what he would say to Tyreese. And Tyreese is actually getting mad at this, mainly at Alan and Ben for betraying them. Sasha says it's not worth it. If these prisoners want to keep this prison all to themselves with seemingly no plan as to get rid of the dead all around them, and now Alan and Ben want to sign themselves up with a bunch of jerks who were obviously meant to be in this prison, then it's not worth it to stay here. If anything, they would have been better off going on the road still, or like going down in one of the lower parts of the prison and never meeting these jerks. Alan and Ben probably would have been with them still. And Tyreese, he really doesn't want to leave Alan and Ben. Mainly Ben, but Alan's like, because we all know how Tyreese and Alan felt about each other. But ultimately, Tyreese unfortunately has to agree with Sasha on the fact that they really can't do anything. So, with that, they both just go out the way they came and go away from the prison. Soon enough, managing to survive just barely, they stumble across a town. A very familiar town. A town that's the story has deeply affected. Meanwhile, the prison now has two new members, Alan and Ben, with Tomas and Andrew being alive still, as well as Big Tiny. So, Tomas is ultimately gonna think of a way that they should just kill all the walkers, which by think, I mean they're going to literally go and kill them just the way they did before Rick could control them, or try to at least. Also, meanwhile, Rick, Lightning McQueen, and Herschel and everyone on the farm are fortifying the farm to a great degree and living, ultimately, the best that any story of the farm has ever seen. Also, meanwhile, Shane and Michonne are clearing out Morgan's apartment of every scrap of weaponry, ammo, and just stockage, and once they're all done, they look like highly trained military soldiers. Shane most of all. And the apartment after, it almost looks completely barren. Michonne, after they've pretty much armed themselves to the teeth, says, now that they know that that Morgan guy isn't getting up, how does Shane feel since he said that that was the guy who supposedly saved his best friend? And besides the point of that, they're not going to be joining any other group, are they? That plan's kind of out the window with them armed to the teeth. Now they're just in it for themselves. And Shane honestly says that he never thought that this would happen. Him meeting someone else, doing all this, he honestly thought he would just be on his own. That's kind of what he wanted. But meeting Michonne, seeing how they're a lot like, getting all of this, it's worth it to not meet another group. Because if Morgan showed anything to them about this world, it's that no group, no person can be trusted in any relative sense. That way is done. And the two of them, they can basically just take all this, go on their own, and basically make the world theirs. And they leave with that very thought in their minds. Little do they know, a bloody, very dark hand grips at the rubble that he's laying in, barely alive, but furious. And Shane and Michonne don't even know it. Meanwhile, again, Tyreese and Sasha are approaching the town, Woodbury. How will their entrance go here without Alan and Ben? How will Alan and Ben get in with the prisoners since the prison is ultimately Tomas's? What about all the other groups? But that's where we end this episode. What do you guys think will happen next? How did you like this episode, even if it was a short one? And what is your favorite part so far in this Mcqueen tale? With all that said, be sure, as always, to smash the like button, subscribe to the Omniverse of Nick channel, and comment your favorite parts, or just favorite series as a whole on the channel, as well as future recommendations for stories and general discussion that one day you might just see pop up here on the channel. But with all that out of the way, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.